Well, hello there, guys. Good morning, and welcome to Dagon. I don't know how to say that. Dagon. I don't know. This game, I'm gonna call it game. I don't know what is it about. I just only read the Steam page. It's like a storytelling visual experience or something, I guess. I don't know how much gameplay is gonna be. Maybe it's like a walking sim, like Dear Esther or something. Literally have no idea. But yeah, this is a mini story written by Lovecraft and adapted into this experience. I don't know how it's gonna play. Like, I literally have no idea this is. What this is gonna be. But yeah, I'm excited to play. This is free to play on Steam. It kind of reminds me of these Google Play Store application of Lovecraft where they have like a uh, the Beast story with like sounds and visual effects and stuff. It's very cool. So if this is like that, I'm gonna like it. Anyways, let's go into it. Play the gun. Okay, here we are. Uh, should I capture the mouse? Sure. Why is the picture above the game? Oh, hold up. Oh, what the hell? I'm so confused right now. Oh, I'm so confused. Bro, OBS is so weird with the game capture lately. Um, oh, there you go. We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Options. Resolution, maximum graphics, audio, sure, others. Okay. Okay, I think this is fine. Trivia. So I guess these are like collectibles. Okay, cool. So there is these, and then there's the Eldritch Box DLC. I don't know what this is, and then the Little Glass Bottle deal. Okay, anyways, let's go. This is a blind playthrough. Yeah, let's go. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequence, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Okay.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Ooh. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey, others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Some of the trivia is even, in order to find the secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder Sign. You can also access all the found facts later. Okay. Okay. Hmm. interesting. So this is gonna add some information about him.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
This seems pseudo-bibliographical, kind of. That's a word. Gonna be a lot of reading, guys.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
That is very interesting. Okay. I mean, I'm glad he didn't go, because if he went there and died, we will have been so many good books and stories. I see.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
The Huns. Wow. Man, to think this was only like around 100 years ago. I mean, I guess you could argue nowadays it's better, but at the same time it can be worse. But yeah. It's really interesting storytelling.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
So Lovecraft wrote this story as in he was in the war because he couldn't go. So it's like a fictional what if I went, you know, I guess.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Oof. Interesting how they mix this, the story itself with the whole background of the story, like the real. How to? It's really weird for a Lovecraft story to mix like a real world war. Interesting.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Nothing else I can interact with. Yeah.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
By the way, I never read or heard this story before from Lovecraft. Like, Lovecraft has so many like short stories, like dozens. It's hard to read the whole bibliography. So this is one I never heard of.
The change happened whilst I slept.
Oh, here we go.
Its details I shall never know. For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Oh, shit. Tentacles. Some squiddy. Cthulhu babies.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Okay, so you have to think, right? This is the story you read. And then these guys who made his game or whatever, they had to take that story written and translate it into graphics, right? Into like these images. So that's pretty hard with Lovecraft because the things he's describing is very subjective, kind of, unless it's like very well described like this one. The slime, the sun, the sky, the creatures, right? But one thing that the writing is better than seeing it yourself is like you imagine what is it. I like both. I like seeing it yourself. It's really cool, but at the same time, what is left to imagination cool can also be more scary, I guess. Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. I hope. Let's go. Now he's mixing the whole dreams and reality.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
You're dreaming. That is the explanation. What the?
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
This is a trilobite. Excuse me. One of the things I like the most about Lovecraft is how even describing the most crazy things, he always tries to give like a scientific explanation, kind of, or logical. It's really cool. It makes it more believable. It makes a thing like, what if this happened? You know, what if it's true? You know?
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
This is creepy. It's screenshot material, right? Like, I really like this concept because this may be a lot of people may play this, right, and be intrigued enough to scratch the surface of getting into Lovecraft or similar writers. That's pretty cool, right?
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Really poetic writing, considering Lovecraft. He usually doesn't... I don't know. Like, you can tell it's Lovecraft by his style, but he's going beyond poetic compared to what I've read for him. So yeah, many people maybe...
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Bro, we went from being in the middle of the ocean to just being on a desert. That is so creepy. So yeah, I can see a lot of people not wanting to pick up a book, but actually playing this and being like, oh my god, this is really cool, and then going on from there, you know. It's like planting seeds. What the hell? Who's a whale? Where am I going? Oh.
That night I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
More background? Oh. He knew, he imagined it first.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
The voice acting, the reading, and the music is really cool.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night. But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset.
It's gonna be in the top.
Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
I want to take a screenshot of the moon, but it's too late. Pick up the pack.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
That's creepy.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
So poetic.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Don't fall. I'm getting into it. It's hooking me.
An impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
Like a monolith? This is like the black stone from Robert Howard.
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
It's 2001, all this space odyssey.
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
That is very scary.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
So immersive.
For despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely. the zenith shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
This is very Lovecraft fashion.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if this was during the World War One, it would have been very early. Like this is saying, this also considered the origin. I see. It's really cool. I like they pick up this story. They pick this story to make this game.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men. Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
A really cool depiction.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh shit. More chaos.
Fiend-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Okay, that must be really cool to read without seeing it.
Of my frantic ascent of the sloping cliff and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Crazy.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Sanity 0. This is really cool.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Delirious.
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean.
I got an achievement called Delirious but free. Right after I said Delirious, that's funny. I'm gonna pick up my boat in mid-ocean, okay?
In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
That is super interesting. The impact of the writings, and he has to defend them. Like, bro, it's fiction. I guess some people can get triggered in times of war by diminishing reality in favor of a fantasy, but bro, time put everything in his place, I think. Yeah.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
So far, I can tell. I feel this is good for the book and bad for the book. Good in terms of like, it can add so much with the music and voice acting, but at the same time, it can take away from your own depiction of what you're reading, because this is like when you're reading a book. The book is not telling you how to imagine the stuff unless it's very like descriptive. But this is like straight up telling you how it looks, which, like I said, it can be good and it can be bad. This one is really well done, I had to say, but yeah, I don't know. I see.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
The Necronomicon. Oh shit. I mean, it's not too bad, but it's too technical, too. Arkham House. Miskatonic. I see. Oh wow. Yeah, Lovecraft went above all that human morality. He is, yeah. That's cool. Clock. Enjoying this so far, actually. I wish I could experience more stories like this. I feel it will make so many people interested in books. It's like the typical, I'll just watch the movie. Because it's, it's like that. Are you gonna raid the gun? Nah, I'm just gonna play the game.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
I'm just thinking all the time, like, it's crazy how Lovecraft stories are so similar to his own life, kind of, right? Like, it's kind of like describing how he feels. Like a therapy, right? But at the same time, it's fiction. It's crazy. Wow. It has been such a... how to put it? Hard life. Yeah, look at this. That's very interesting. Well, I don't smoke or do drugs. I mean alcohol, but I do morphine. Let's go.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat, after my escape from the German man of war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed. Worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
That is really cool. Okay, now that was very increased emotional. From just, I guess if I read that, if I was reading the book, right, and I read that passage, I'll be like, oh shit. And then seeing it with the music, that's, yeah. Very intense. That is so cool.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me. God, that hand! The window! The window!
We hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We'll appreciate if you took a moment to rate Dagon and check out our other games and DLCs. It's really cool. I'll write that review after the stream on Steam. Really enjoyed this. Very short, 40 minutes. Yeah. And then I wonder if there is more stories. Paid. Yeah, that was the Dagon. Dagon. That was cool. We missed quite a lot of this. Well, that was cool. And that's gonna be the stream for today. Maybe I'll stream later on. Maybe some hunt, or I don't know. I was trying to do Crisis 3, but it didn't work. Maybe I will fix that. I don't know. But this was a very cool experience. Like I said, if this makes you interested in Lovecraft or Cthulhu mythos or similar stuff, this is what is it for? Let me see. Let me go to the Steam page. Let me see. The Eldritch Box DLC. What is this? Is there more stories? It's like a you pay €4. It's like a donation, basically. It's like a donation. And then the 17th of this month, there is a new story coming out, I think. Yep. Yep. In like a couple of weeks, there is another story like this coming out, I think. So that's cool. Anyways, that was really cool. See you next time, guys. Oops.